Okay, this is the Alcatel 2010. It's roughly 6.8 cubic feet per minute. Okay, we're running a process right now. You can see we're up at about 100 torr. We're flowing nitrogen into the chamber at 100 torr. There's a program in the Lark sequencer here, and it's in a loop right now. So you just have the vacuum pump on and the gas flowing. And we're running a ramp program, a ramp soak program up to 350 with the West 2054 temperature controller. So you can see right now it's tracking pretty well. I'm ramping for an hour and then I'm going to dwell for 20 minutes at 350. We'll come back later and take a look at that. And then we're going to let it cool down slowly. We're almost at the 350 mark here. You see it's tracking pretty well. We're at 335. Set point is 337. You hit the function key twice, you can see how much time is remaining in the ramp. It looks like we got 4 minutes left. At that point we'll go into a dwell. I have it set for 20 minutes only at 350. A typical process would be much longer. What we'll do is go around the back and take a look at some of our utilities. So first of all, we got 3-phase power into our control box. That's 208 at 60 amps. 20 amps, excuse me. 208, 20 amps. We have a thermal couple connection down to the bottom here. We also have a control in our heater. Either our heater wires going down to the box, and they're connected down here. We're bringing in CDA, clean dry air at a pressure of about 60 to 80 psi. That's to operate some of the neutral valves in the vacuum valve. We have an adjustment here for our cold end tube. That's for venting purposes. We have our nitrogen supply coming in here. And we have the regulator on the bottle set at 35 psi. Then we have a flow control for the hot end too, and that's the nitrogen that's flowing during the process is flowing right now. And that's adjusted so that we get between 100 and 200 torr. We do have an option that you can use a house vacuum if needed. We're not using it here, it's not necessary. And then finally here's our connection for our main vacuum that's leading out to our vacuum pump. And we replaced the blower here, and that's blowing air across the front door coming out the bottom here. And that's to keep the front door cool. And then again we have a light here. The green light will typically be on if there's no errors. We'll get the red light flashing if we have an abort condition. And then when the operator attention is necessary, when the process is complete, we'll have a yellow light here. Okay, we just hit the 350 mark. Now we're in the dwell. Again, we're just flowing our nitrogen in and our vacuum pump's open. The Lark sequencer is in a loop. So it's waiting for the temperature controller to give it a signal to start. Well, actually, it'll stay on there. The controller will ramp down after the 20 minutes. I have a ramp down for an hour. And let's look at the time remaining on this. So in the program with the temperature control, I put in 20 minutes, and we have, well, actually only put in 10, so we have 9 minutes left. So once this begins to cool down, we'll let it cool down, and then the process will be complete. It'll vent up by itself. We'll come back and take a look at it. We'll open up the inside and look at the inside of the chamber. What I did is I set the thumb wheel switch to 0, and what that does is it'll run a leak back test program for it. It's part of the original program. By putting it to 0 to the leak back, and what it does is it'll pump down the chamber for 10 minutes, and then it's going to ask you to take readings at minute 1 and minute 3, and then come up with a leak back. So we're at, we still got another 2.5 minutes pumping down. You can see we're at about 400 millitorr right now. So what we'll do is we'll see where it's at once the time's out for the 10 minutes. And then what it'll do is it'll have us take 2 readings. So we'll take those 2 readings. Then we'll come back. Okay, here's a hard copy of the program that's in the Spark controller right now, and what we're doing is program 0. And what it says to do is that during the countdown, once the vacuum valve shuts, we're going to take a reading at 3 and at 1, and divide that by 2. And that'll give us our leak back rate per minute. You're getting close. Nope. What I want to show you is that it is getting down to almost 300 millitorr, maybe slightly less in the 10-minute time. And in the manual it does explain that as long as you get below 500 millitorr, you will have no problem with your process due to a leak. Okay, so now it's leaking back now. All the outputs are off on the large sequencer. And it's timing, so when it hits 3 minutes, we're going to take a reading. And what we'll be reading is our pressure inside the chamber. Okay, we got about another 12 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Okay, let's take a reading here. We're at about 2 torr. Okay, we'll come back and take a look at it when it gets to 1 minute. Okay, we're close to the 1 minute mark. 3, 2, 1. So at 1 minute, we're at 2.8 torr. So in 2 minutes, we leaked up 800 millitorr. Divide that by 2, that's 400 millitorr per minute. That's the leak back rate. Here in the manual for the maintenance and troubleshooting, and 9.3, it talks about run the vacuum again after 10 minutes, the system should have settled at an ultimate vacuum. That's what we're looking for. The range is 100 millitorr to 10 torr, and we're typically around 300 millitorr. The QC spec is 200 millitorr. So it says here, if you are anywhere less than 500 millitorr, which we are at 300 millitorr, the system will function without problems due to leakage. So again, the leak up rate's a little high, but it is passing the 500 millitorr test. What I'm going to do here is I'll just, it's going to vent itself up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit reset on this. I'm going to step up to what I programmed in sequence 2, and I'm going to run that. And all that does is turn the vacuum valve on. I got 48 hours programmed in there, so we'll let this run for maybe 20 minutes or so, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at what the ultimate vacuum pressure is of the chamber. Okay, now we started here evacuating under vacuum the chamber at 48 hours, and we're down to 47-45. So it's been pumping for 15 minutes, and we've kind of reached our ultimate vacuum pressure of 300 millitorr, and it really won't go any lower than that. So that is your ultimate pressure.